False.
Everything false.
You're going to be hearing a lot of that today.
Yeah.
False.
That's it.
False.
Today's
False.
episode is brought to you by the letter F. False.
Brought to you by False Grip.
False.
If you
Ooh,
know gymnastics,
got it.
False
Got it.
Grip.
I feel like I'm so much
Welcome
further
back
from my camera than you are. I'm just gonna.
to the BG Perform podcast with my co-host, Coach Jerry Hayes, as he
Coach
zooms in on his
Trappy
face,
Hayes. Yeah.
as if we need to be any more zoomed in on that. Just kidding. You're
Yeah. Right.
beautiful.
Stay as far away as you can.
Welcome back to the BG Perform podcast. Jerry, how was the week?
Week has been good. We're on that on and off January sickness thing, so we're on the up and up. I'm like 90% better today, which is great. Um, and
Jerry
lists
has
have
the immune
been.
system of an
What'd you say?
infant. Since you have the immune system of an infant.
Yeah, bro. I swear to God, every time. Well, it's weird because like I think it's literally Colorado. I get sick more in Colorado than anywhere else. When I'm here, I can't sleep, and the oxygen is just lower. And maybe it's part of me adapting this last month, but it's been a mess. Um, so we'll adapt soon, and then I'll get back to having a very strong immune system as per usual. But besides that, work's been
Let's go.
good. Clients are killing it. Signing a couple new people as well, so we're moving and grooving. What about you?
Beautiful. Been good. Still strong start to the year.
Hmm.
Training's been good.
Oh,
Been what?
as per Brandon's recommendation, I bought The Alchemist, and
Ah,
yesterday
yes.
morning I read almost half of the book. So
What
I
part are you
very
at?
much
Half the
enjoyed
book.
it.
You gotta be at is he at
I'm on
the
part
glass store
two.
yet?
He's has enough money for double the amount of sheep and a ticket
Okay.
back to Spain, and
Sweet.
he has to make the decision. He just found the two stones again. If you don't know what we're talking about, read The Alchemist. I've very much enjoyed it so far, and I'm already learning from it, journaling based on it, and it's been great. So it's the last thing I wanted
It's
to
a
add.
great book.
Back to you, Brandon.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's a great book. I mean,
Yeah.
probably one of my favorite books of all time. But I got a tattoo of it because I loved it that much. Um, Fantastic book. Definitely
Mhm.
something I would I've read that book probably two or three times already, I
Yeah.
think. So, um, yeah, it's just a great book overall. But
Yeah.
a lot of lessons in there, a lot of really good take home points, and you know, I think for me, if you're feeling lost or trying to like figure out life, The Alchemist is like one of those books that just helps you um, realize it's closer than you think, and oftentimes it's you know, well, I'll let you read the book, and then
Yeah.
once you read it, you can always reach out to me, and you can finish it, and then get back to me too, and we can talk about it a
Yeah.
little bit more. But
Probably won't take me too much longer.
today,
So.
we're going to be diving into fitness myths,
Hmm.
and we're just going to kind of speed run through a bunch of myths and just talk about it. And we got a nice list of myths for a bunch of different categories. So we're going to kind of speed run through that, talk about it a little bit, give a little bit of background info on it, get through as many of these as we can in the next like 30, 45 minutes. And yeah, and then go from there. So we compiled, Jerry and I worked on a list of things that we wanted to talk about in each category. So we got things like fat loss, we got muscle and strength, we
Hmm.
got training in the gym, we got nutrition, a little bit of recovery, a little bit of cardio, and we're gonna dive into each of those. And like I said, it's gonna be a little bit more of a speed run. We're not gonna really. I'm sure we're gonna get into some conversation on each one, but more of a speed run. Just kind of touch on these topics and tell you why most of them are false. I think there's a couple that are true, but we're gonna kind of
Yeah.
dive into those, right?
I will say before we do, if you guys like, obviously we're not going too far in depth with a lot of this stuff. So if you do have questions and want us to dive deeper on specific subjects, write it in the comments of whatever platform you're listening or watching on. And I mean, we read those, so we'll go through. We'll make sure that we cover whatever you guys want us to go further in depth on, so we can give you a little more answers. But there are so many fitness myths that we want to get through that we just want to plow through a bunch of them really quick. So
Yeah, I think plow is correct because there's a bunch of snow here in New York. That's the right
hey,
term to use if you're a New York listener. But
all of ours melted. It's just
we,
cold.
yeah, we just want to. I think what we can do today is as we go through these, we'll quickly like briefly touch on them, and then we'll dive into any more if we get more feedback on something that people want to hear more of. So,
Yeah.
without further ado, we will start. So, fitness myth number one: fat loss is the topic.
Hmm.
You can spot reduce fat, and obviously false. That's not true.
False. First
You
step of the day.
we're just gonna, we'll say false or true, but
Yeah.
false. And I think this is very simple. I think this is one that's been around for a long time. You can't spot reduce fat. You can't like choose a spot on your body to lose fat. Essentially, what happens is as we lose fat, it goes from the external pieces of our body, well, not external, but more what's called
Distal.
distal, right? Distal parts of the body into the more proximal parts of the body. And the last thing to go is always the gut. So everybody always wants that to go first, but that's usually the very last thing to go as you're losing weight.
Hmm.
And you'll notice it in your arms and legs and your face a little bit sooner, and then it starts to kind of work its way because your most important parts of your body are you know your vital organs.
Yeah. Yeah. And
That's it. Oh, okay.
no, yeah, I was gonna say there's a little delay between us. That's the only thing.
I gotcha.
Um, yeah, it's like if you imagine draining a pool of water, like it's just you can't just say like I'm gonna drain this side first. It just all goes at once.
Hmm.
So, and then
Yeah.
it pools down into the center, and then you got to funnel that part out. So
Yeah,
think of it like
that's the
that.
worst part. So,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Next, sweating means sweating more means burning more fat. That's 100% false because if that was
Hmm.
the case, I would be 2% body fat
Yeah.
and shredded to the gills because I sweat like to keep it PG, a pig.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that sweating is more of a it's a healthy thing, a very healthy thing. And I've
Yeah.
actually had thoughts that I think if you don't sweat as much, you might not be as healthy. But that's
Depending.
obviously that goes in both
Yeah.
ways because a healthy person, the average person who doesn't sweat as much, to me would be a warning sign. Obviously, if you're overweight or fall into that category, that's a different scenario.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think Jerry and I both, and I think I sweat probably more than Jerry, but Jerry and I are sweaty people. Um, and
When I was a week old, my mom brought me to urgent care to the ER. She thought that I was like dying because I was sweating. They were like, "No, he just sweats." It was that bad. My
that's
mom was
funny.
like worried as a week old baby. I was just dripping bullets. So
But yeah, so sweating does not burn more calories. If
yeah,
anything, it does sweating does show that you are working, right, for the
yeah,
most part. Unless you're like me, who if I think too much or think too hard, I get sweaty. So
yeah,
obviously I'm not training at that point. But it does not mean you're burning more calories. Although if you are training hard, or burning more fat, I should say.
yeah,
But it does indicate some sort of like process going on in your body, which is and therefore kind of causing calorie burn, but not in the way that most people think about it.
yeah. That water loss. I will say that men and women have uh, I won't say different sweat glands, but different. What's the word? Guys have like bigger or no more sweat glands. Is that what it is? More pores to sweat out of, where women have like larger. Is that what it is? I forgot exactly which one
I
it
don't
is,
know.
but there's a reason that men typically sweat a little bit more. I can look into that too, but
I'm a furnace, so I know that I get very
yeah,
hot.
and a big reason that a lot of men will sweat more too is because of a general, on average, larger amount of muscle mass. So you're working a little bit harder in those moments, so you can get warm quicker. So that's another reason,
Yeah.
but definitely not more fat loss with it.
Yeah. Yep.
False.
Number three, cardio burns more fat than lifting.
Let's say it together.
False.
False. Yeah.
False. So I wanna preface this by saying one thing, right? Obviously, losing fat is losing body weight, and like fat is essentially extra extra calories on your body to keep it very simple, right? Like
Hmm.
if you eat excess food, your body's going to store it as fat, right? So when we lose calories or we're burning calories, we're essentially going to lose fat quicker. Now, why I say that is because you know you burn calories by doing cardio as well as lifting, but what happens here is like you don't just do one or the other and then one burns more fat. It's just like like when you do cardio for the most part, you're burning calories inside the time that you're doing the cardio, right?
Hmm.
Lifting is one of those things where it's like you're causing damage to the muscle specifically through contraction and I'm missing the other word, lengthening and shortening of the muscle,
Hmm.
right? Just contractions of the muscle. And as you cause that, it takes time to repair. So you're burning more calories consistently over the course of, say, you know, 24 to 48 hours. And that's the
Hmm.
biggest thing there. So it's not that like cardio doesn't help you lose weight. It's just that like if you're going to compare the two, lifting burns a little bit more calories over the course of say 2 to 3 days than doing cardio one day during the week, right?
Hmm.
Anything to add to that, or did I explain that well?
Yeah, that's good. That was perfect.
Because I think this kind of goes into the next one too. It's like eating late at night makes you fat, which is false, right?
Yeah.
And what matters is considering if you look at your whole day, right? And if
Hmm.
you've eaten breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then you're eating at 10 o'clock at night, that makes a lot of sense. Like, hey, you're probably having excess calories. It doesn't matter if you eat at 10 o'clock, really. It
Yeah.
just matters that, like, you're having more calories. So, if you can portion your calories out so you can eat starting at 6 a.m. and then you can stop eating at 10 p.m. and you're still fitting in that calorie amount that's going to help you lose weight, that's perfectly fine. Now, if you're eating, like I said, all your calories by 3 p.m. and then you're waiting until 10 p.m. and you're having food, you know, a lot of
Yeah.
people would equate that with I'm eating late, so I'm gaining weight. But the real idea here is you're just going over your caloric recommended caloric intake and causing your body to put on excess body fat or body weight. So it's not that eating late makes you fat. It's just that eating late usually equates with going over the that calorie amount.
On top of that, too, I think a big reason this myth exists is because think about like late at night, that means close to bed. So if you're eating like
Yeah.
right before bed and you don't give yourself time to digest, you're not going to digest properly if you're trying to sleep, and it's just going to mess up your sleep. Then it affects other things like your hunger hormone, satiety hormone, and then they kind of go up and down in a way that makes you want to eat more. So eating close to bed and not allowing yourself to digest before bed, that can be a problem if you start like overeating because of it, or you start craving more fattening foods like people typically do when they don't get good sleep.
Yeah.
So that's a big
So
reason that that exists. Yeah.
yeah, so don't worry too much about when you eat. Just matter about like what you're eating and how much you're
Yeah.
eating, right?
Stay within your caloric
Um,
intake.
Fat burners actually burn fat. False. Now,
False.
the thing I want to kind of talk about with that is that a lot of these things are made to have you feel that like burning sensation, right? Or just
Yeah.
make you sweat more, or kind of have that like tingly sensation on the skin. And that doesn't mean you're burning more calories. It just means you feel
Yeah.
like it. Like you're taking
It
something
ties
like
in with
this.
number two. Like the sweating doesn't
Yeah.
equal more fat loss.
Yeah, and I think that they like things like this will use like beta alanine, and they'll use other supplements that cause that vasodilation, it's called, where the blood vessels actually increase in size and there's more blood flow, which makes you feel like that sense of almost like antsiness, or like that ants in your pants type feeling, or that
Yeah.
itchiness on your skin, which then makes you feel like, all right, I'm hot, I'm sweating, I'm burning more calories, when in reality you're just your veins are pumping more blood, right?
Yeah.
And this is very common. Actually, I'll let Jerry speak on that, but it's not true, and they usually don't work, and they're usually a waste of money.
Yeah. That's where like a lot of times if you're having too much caffeine, obviously caffeine can have a really good effect on your like output in the gym, but if you're having too much, it's a vasoconstrictor and it'll make it so it's like your heart rate starts racing a little bit more and it makes it harder for you to get proper blood flow, which for athletes can actually be really detrimental to performance. The fat burners just do the opposite. Again, they make you feel that itchiness, that extra sweating, which kind of goes right back into number two, where sweating equals more fat loss, which is obviously false. Um, that vasodilation just it allows all of that heat to expend or to get out of your body, and you start sweating a little bit more. And water loss is a really easy way for people to think that they're getting more lean because they're seeing more definition just based on their cells holding
And like
less
immediately,
water.
like you can do a
Yeah,
workout and start at 150 pounds and finish the workout and be 145 pounds and be like, oh, I lost 5 pounds, and it's like,
yeah.
well, you just
Which like go take a
sweat.
bite of
So
celery and you're gonna gain it back. Like
yeah,
anything with
exactly.
water.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Next, you must do fasted cardio to lose fat. This is,
Oh
I'm
wait,
gonna say this one's false. Obviously, you can do it. You know what I mean? Like it's not to say that fasted cardio hurts or helps you. There really is no benefit to doing fasted cardio outside of like if you feel better,
mm-hmm.
without eating. I used to be that way. Like I would do a lot of fasted workouts, and then I started to kind of realize when I ate, I felt like I was able to do more, which then in return helped me produce more overall work and output, and then get more adaptation to my body in return. So no, you do not need to do fasted cardio to lose fat, and doing it does not burn more fat than if you were to eat and do the same thing.
Yeah, I actually made a very in depth. And funny enough, within 90 seconds, I did a very in depth Instagram reel about this where fasted cardio, you basically allow yourself to get to using fat as energy, which doesn't mean you're burning fat. You're just using fat as energy. But then if you're using fat as energy in the beginning of the day, like if you're fasted, and then later in the day, your body is still recovering. You just burn through carbs later. So if you're not using the carbs in the workout, then you're going to use them later, like during recovery. And if you are using carbs in the workout, you're going to burn through fat later as a source, but it's not losing fat. It's just where the energy is coming from. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So. Next one, the scale tells the whole story. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
this is false, and I think if you've
Mm-hmm.
listened to us long enough, the scale is a part of the story, and it's a number in what's going on in your body, and it's not always the correct number to look at or correct metric to look at in regards to success or making progress. Scale can tell you what your body weight is at, but if you look a certain way or you're performing a certain way, then that number doesn't necessarily matter in my eyes. Like if you're feeling better and moving better, and you see a certain number on the scale, then that doesn't always have to equal negativity. If you're
Mm-hmm.
not happy with your body, if you're not happy with the way you're performing, and then you're looking at the scale, then that's definitely a number that we can kind of play with. But it definitely does not tell the whole story, and there's a lot of different ways that we can track in regards to like progress or getting to the results that we want.
Yeah, there's a reason that when you use a scale, you're supposed to use it at the same time every day after going to the bathroom, after doing all these things, because you have to make it as consistent as possible to even get a number that can give you a semi accurate idea of where you're at. But again, like
Yep.
if I ate a little bit more last night or didn't poop before I went on the scale, like it can change a ton. If you're retaining
Yep.
water from excess sodium, it's just a number to give you a rough estimate of where you're at.
Yeah. Yep. And last for this one, you have to eat super clean to get lean. That rhymes. Pun intended. Or no pun intended. I don't know. But it's false.
Yeah,
Now, I want to
I will
preface
say it's
this, right? So I
KT.
want to say,
It's
well,
KT. It's
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 KT.
kind of true
Okay, kind of
to
true. Well, I'll say
to
this,
an
right?
extent. Yeah.
So th if you want to feel good and you want to make this, a sustainable thing, then eating as clean as possible to get lean is the answer, right?
Hmm.
And 'cause I don't want you guys to take this the wrong way and be like, "Cool, I'm just gonna go eat McDonald's," right? But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, the calorie number is what's really important, not so much how you get to that number, like what
Hmm.
you fill that number with. You want to have protein, you want to have fat, you want to have carbs in there because that's what makes up food. But there's ways around that, and there's things that work for every individual. Obviously, there's a recommended amount. If you can eat a little bit more protein, you're probably going to be satiated a little bit more. Higher carbs usually creates higher, you know, insulin spikes, and usually causes you to have like energy swings and obviously like hunger cues as well. Like if you're eating a lot of carbs early in the morning, it's really common to, after you digest that, you get that hunger cue of like, hey, I had that drop in insulin and now I need more food because I'm hungry, when you just kind of ate and it's not necessarily the case. So eating clean, and we'll define clean as like whole foods, foods that aren't, I guess, processed, which, every food is technically processed nowadays, but
Yeah.
food that is from something that was living from the ground, like fruit, vegetable, animal product, something along those lines, because, that is stuff that you can't really mess with, like
Hmm.
if it came from the ground or came from a tree or was breathing at some point, then it's as natural as it can get. And I think also eating clean allows you to really break down like what you're actually consuming, right? When you start to get into the processed foods, it's a lot easier when you're trying to lose weight, and you see all these protein products or all these low calorie things or options, and they usually have a laundry list of ingredients, and it's a lot harder to eat clean. But, like Jerry said, this is kind of true. Obviously, if you want to feel your best, then eating super clean to get lean is going to be the best option moving forward. But, this obviously comes with context. If you can't cook very well or you have a schedule that's kind of crazy, it doesn't mean eat like shit, by
Yeah.
any means. It doesn't mean like go to McDonald's, Burger King, and whatever. But find the best options that you can and try to fill it and then focus on that calorie number so that you're not going over that number because that's what's going to keep you lean.
Yeah. I think two quick points to make on this. A reason that you're probably at a bigger advantage eating, not probably, the reason you are at a bigger advantage when eating clean, quote unquote clean, is the micronutrient content. So it's more nutrient dense foods. You're getting more vitamins and minerals when you're eating. You also, again, you know what everything is in there. But there's a reason like that where it's like it's kind of true. Um, but the reason that it can kind of be like false is we've seen people like the one guy who did the Twinkie diet where he was having Twinkies, Oreos, and Doritos for every single meal, and he was in a calorie deficit, and he still managed to lose weight. However, that
Yeah.
can affect your performance if you're not getting everything that you need from your food. Your performance will kind of become a little detrimental, or it will be detrimental to your performance rather, and it can actually affect your output in the gym. So that's where like eating clean to get lean is probably your best bet, I would say. So
Yeah.
yeah,
100%. All right, we're gonna move on. We'll try to make this a little bit quicker too, because
yeah,
I think we should. I don't think some of these we need to talk about as much. But
no,
muscle and strength, right? Light weights tone, heavy weights bulk. False, right?
yes,
Well, I guess like the language is more important to me than the actual thing, right? Because you just need adaptation to the muscle. If you did 1,000 reps at 10 pounds, that's great. If you did 1 rep at 100 pounds, that's great as well, as long as you're causing the adaptation to the muscle. And toning obviously isn't necessarily a real thing. All of us are very toned if we lost enough body mass or body weight. We'd be very like shredded, and you would see
yeah,
the muscle tone that people speak of. So a lot of that's really nutrition related. But to get actually, I would almost kind of say the opposite now that I think about it. Like if you do a lot of weight and cause or like a lot of reps, that's really more hypertrophy, which is going to get you bigger muscles. And the heavier weight's not necessarily going to get you bigger. It's going to get you stronger and more powerful, which
yeah.
doesn't
You
always
can
equate to muscle.
become bigger from those like heavier weights and less reps. You just have to. It comes down to what you're eating, and you have to be in a calorie surplus. So
Well, and also it's
yeah,
like you're not like with a lot of those heavier weights, they're not, they cause damage to the muscle. But like if you're doing 15 reps of something at a challenging weight, you're going to get more damage to the muscle, which is going to cause
yeah.
more strain to the muscle than if you were doing 5 pounds at like or 5 reps at like a heavier weight. Does that
Key
make sense?
point that he said
Yeah.
though,
All
that
right.
Brandon said was at a challenging weight, so you're getting close to failure by those
Yeah,
final
and I
reps.
think
It's
that's
not
the
like you're
big
doing
thing here. When we
15 and
talk
you're like, all
about
right, I'm ready to go again for another 15.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
yeah,
and that's the big discrepancy here, and that's what you have to honestly think of. It's just like if you're going to do what would quote unquote be called like light weights for a lot of reps, it can't just be 10 pounds for 50 reps. It has to be,
yeah,
something that's challenging for a good amount of reps because that's for the most part when people talk about that, like lifting weights is important no matter what and can be
hmm,
done in a lot of ways. But as long as you're getting that strength stimulus or that muscle adaptation stimulus that causes the body have to repair, it doesn't really matter how you do it. It just matters that you get to that point.
yeah,
Cool. Women get bulky from lifting. False, because I've been trying to get bulky for years, and
yeah,
it's
dude.
it's
Talk to me for
somewhat
a minute.
working. It's somewhat working.
Jesus,
I think this is
16 years of
another
my
thing. I
life, we're
think
slowly moving.
I think bulky is a really. I think women have a very jaded view on what fitness is or can be, and I
Hmm.
think with the reshaping of the fitness landscapes that's going on right now, there's a lot of changes in regards to like what the ideal physique is or performance level, and what used to be a very bodybuilding heavy sport is now turning into like a very functional hybridy type of fitness where people are able to do a lot of things and they look the part and feel the part, and and that sort of thing. It's not anymore stepping on stage and looking a certain way and being this big bulky character, which, for the most part is associated with drug use as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing that people forget is like to get to that level where some of these people are, where you could be considered quote unquote bulky. Like there's a lot of drug use that goes on there, right? The average
Yeah.
person, even if they were trying their hardest, right? And like eating perfect, lifting every single day, progressively overloading, not having any step back, like they'd still struggle to truly get like bulky. And a lot of it's genetic as well in regards to like, muscle definition or the way your body's built. So, yeah.
This is a big reason why I'm happy that the natty or not thing is becoming a little more open and people are being more honest. Because the amount of women who look at bodybuilders on stage who are women and they're like, well, they lift, so I'm going to look like that. It's like, no, get yourself on a dose of what they're doing for their gear, and you will. But it's not just going to happen on accident. Like, none of this happens
Yeah.
on accident. There's a reason that everyone is looking for the quick result because the stuff that works takes time, dedication, and a lot of discipline. So I just can't believe that
Yeah.
that's
And I think at
still
the end
out
of the
there
day,
as people believing it.
yeah, I think at the end of the day, women need to be lifting for bone density and muscle mass and all the
Absolutely.
stuff that's going to help you live
Especially
longer.
later
And
in
that's
life,
more
like
important.
menopause and
Yeah.
premenopause. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Next, more soreness equals a better workout. It's not always the case, right?
Hmm.
Obviously, we want to have some sort of adaptation. I think this is another KT one, kind of true.
Yeah. Yeah.
More soreness, if you are sore, it is meaning like, hey, I did work, right? We don't want to be sore after every single workout. Although when you get to a certain point, you're kind of just always sore from lifting and you just kind of get used to it,
Yeah.
and you
You almost
just
look
keep going.
forward to it and you feel
But
normal if you're not.
more soreness does not equal a better workout. Just because you are more sore in an area does not mean that you did better for yourself, right? And
Hmm.
I think that idea of like my body needs to hurt for me to make progress is something that is a thing of the past. And I think that's it. It just doesn't. If you're more sore, it doesn't mean you got a better workout.
Yeah. That's nothing really more to add to that. Just soreness is indicative of a good workout, but you don't have to be dying to get a really good workout. So, or growth.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Next, you need to train to failure every single set. That's obviously false. If you're training to
Hmm.
failure every single set, you are probably either going to burn out very soon or you're not actually getting a lot out of what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
And I think training to failure has its moments, and there's
Hmm.
definitely places it fits inside a program, especially to a certain person or a certain timing in your programming. But for the most part, you should have a set rep and set scheme that you're going to be following each and every workout. And there, like I said, there are times and places that you can kind of implement that to help.
Yeah. Yeah. I think like having at least one or two movements throughout the day that you're getting closer to the failure area is important. But again, like Brandon said, you're going to burn out, probably like start to just get a little bit of overreaching if you're doing that every single
Yeah,
workout,
unless
every
you're
single set.
16.
Yeah, yeah. Unless you're 16 and you
Yeah,
basically
unless
have
you're
legal
16. I
steroids
remember
pumping
when
through your
we used to
veins.
go and bench. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we used to go and bench, and we were just one rep max every single week for like 6 months straight, and the bench was just continuously going up.
Yeah,
It doesn't
dude.
work like that unless you're 16. So,
Yeah. So,
but yeah. Uh, Next, you must constantly change exercises. This is absolutely false. The more constant you can be, the more time you can give yourself with a single exercise or set of exercises, the better off you're going to be. It gives you more time to learn, more time to progress, more time to think about it. And if you constantly change, you're literally going to be missing out on so many gains inside of a
mhm.
certain exercise and just on your body in general.
Yeah. A lot of people change exercises too soon or too frequently, and that's why they're struggling to progress.
Yeah.
So, definitely false.
Yeah. Next, machines are useless compared to free weights. I have grown to absolutely love machines.
Same.
So this is false, right? I
Hmm.
think machines give you a lot of early learning opportunities and early muscular adaptation that your body cannot create otherwise. And I think a lot of people miss this fact because machines have kind of been thought of as isolation in a negative way. And I think a
Hmm.
lot of people look at machines as like you're isolating a muscle in your body. Early on, I really see muscle isolation as like a very positive thing. It doesn't mean we shouldn't be doing bigger patterns, but like starting the workout with a goblet squat and then moving into hamstring curls and quad extensions is ideal, right? Because with
Yeah.
machines, we're taking away all the skill that's involved, all the external ability of having to stop your body or maneuver your body through space and time, and you're just able to focus on a muscle and lifting the most amount of weight possible on that movement.
Yeah, using those free weights in the beginning, all those higher skill set movements. We've talked about this a million times, so if you need us to dive in deeper, just let us know. But all those higher skill set movements, doing them in the beginning of the workout, and then the stuff like machines where you take all the stability out of it and you can just burn out at the end, that's smart. That's just good training. So
Yeah.
definitely false.
Yep. Yeah. Last but not least for this section, if you're not exhausted, it didn't work. This is probably one of the ones I have to harp on the most when I first
Mm-hmm.
start training with people is this idea of like I need to be exhausted and panting and tired and can't move to know that I did a good workout, and that's absolutely not the truth. It's like
Yeah.
so beyond false. You want to show up as much as you can and do as much work as you can across a week. Doing one workout as hard as you can and not being able to move for 2 days is the absolute worst idea. And going in, having your workout, having enough energy to then go complete the rest of your day and show up again and do it again and again and again each and every day is how you get results. Obviously, we want to push ourselves on occasion and we want to have that built in. So if we are trying to show progression, there's going to be sessions where we are very exhausted and our body is hurting or sore or just because we're pushing ourselves. But
Mm-hmm.
that's not the case 99% of the time. And if it is, you're probably not following the right program.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite memories. Very
Hey,
quick
I'm sorry to
story.
cut you off, but I have so many water bottles in my room, and
Bro, you're just
I'm
not finishing
drinking
them?
from like three of them
Just
as
start
we
pouring them
speak.
in. Just start emptying them
I'm
into one.
about to
Just chug it. Squeeze it. Go like this. Just
just do the
full
tornado.
fire hose. Yeah, yeah, tornado that. Yeah, one of my favorite stories about like if you're not exhausted, it didn't work. One of my oldest clients that I was working with when I first moved to Colorado, Tim. Tim came in. We crushed a leg day, and Tim's one of those guys where if you don't challenge him a lot, he's like, "I'm not tired." Makes that face. He goes, "I can do more." And it's like, all right. One day we finished a leg day. He goes, "I can do more." I was like, "Trust me. Take the time. Do a little bit of abs if you want to do more. Get a little cardio in, but then go home and recover." He goes, "All right, whatever you say." He comes in the next day and he's holding his hamstring. He goes, and he goes, "Oh, I'm so sore." And I was like, "You were about to do more, dude. You would have not been able to stand up out of bed. You would have just gone to stand up and been stuck in a quarter squat because your hamstrings couldn't lengthen."
Yeah.
So like it's just one of those things. Like in the moment, you may feel like you have more energy. That's not a bad thing. You'll still feel it the
Hmm.
next day if it's a good program. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
So that's good. That's beautiful. All
yeah.
right, next section here. We how much time we got? You want to dive into nutrition first, or you want to go to the training and gym?
Let's go into the nutrition first.
Cool. All right.
Nutrition first.
Nutrition myths. Carbs make you fat. False,
False.
right? Carbs are so important in regards to
Yeah.
maintaining performance, and I think what's happened over the couple years, and personally, I'm a fan of animal products, right? I think
Hmm.
animal products are meats, cheese, dairy, anything that's basically come from a living thing is something you should eat. But I think some people have taken that to the extreme, and for a while they were pushing like extreme carnivore diets, which again,
Yeah.
it could work. It could work for somebody. It could, allow you if that's the way you like to eat, that's fine, right? But carbs do help performance, and they allow us to create more output consistently. And I think that this idea that carbs make you fat is false. It's just that carb heavy foods tend to be ice creams and sugary foods and desserts. Like there's not a lot of like carb heavy foods that are like very natural outside of like potatoes and rice and what else? Like, is there
All
like,
your grains pretty much. Obviously your
yeah,
fruits and
like,
veggies will have it in there too, but if you're getting carbs from fruits and veggies, like more power to you. Like you're gonna be fine.
well, yeah. Obviously, fruits
Yeah.
and vegetables. I forgot about those, obviously, but I think like those natural sources of carbs are very important for you. It's just that most of the time when we talk about like high carb foods, it's people turning to like pastas and desserts and sugars and these highly processed things. And again, like again, it's calories, right? If you eat 1,000 grams of carbs, you're going to be at 4,000 calories in a day, and that's well over what most people need unless you're like a very high performing athlete, right?
Yeah.
If you're eating 300 grams of carbs, right, that's not that bad if you're someone who works out regularly. So it's not the carbs that make you fat. It's not fat that makes you fat. It's not protein that make it's the amount of food that you're eating in regards to the calorie intake you're supposed to be taking in.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, there's not one macronutrient or micronutrient that's making you fat.
Yeah.
It's
Exactly.
definitely not carbs.
Yeah, definitely not carbs. Yeah.
Yeah. You need supplements to see results. False. I think supplements are literally what the word says, like supplementation. I think if
Hmm.
you've gotten to a point where you're so dialed in on everything that you think you can add in something to help you, or you're lacking still in some area, then yes. I also think if you have like a lifestyle thing going on where it's like, hey, I just don't have enough time to make a third meal to get X amount of protein in or carb or whatever, that's where supplementation comes in to help you and makes life easier and to supplement, right?
Yeah.
And I think what happens is a lot of people use supplementation to fuel their life as opposed to supplement it. And it doesn't always lead to results. And a lot of times it actually hurts you because they're not always the best things to consume.
Yeah. That's where you don't need supplements at all, but like Brandon said, if you use it because like you're struggling to get that other meal in, like for me, I often make shakes because I'm on my feet. I coach late at night, so I might have a shake with a protein, like a scoop of protein in there, some like peanut butter, oats, fruit, that type of stuff, just to get calories in because I don't want to eat
Hmm.
right before bed. So I might make shakes and carry that
Yeah.
throughout my training sessions, but you don't need them at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Last two we got here. Healthy food equals low calories. Now, I think this is one that people often equate like health to calories. And again, just because something is low calorie does not mean automatically it's healthy, right?
Yeah.
And I think just because something is high calorie does not necessarily mean it's unhealthy. I think at the end of the
Hmm.
day, people like no food is inherently unhealthy in
Yeah.
regards to like outside of heavily processed foods where, there's things that are added into it that are out of like the individual's control. But I think this idea of like healthy food has been pushed down your throat as like something that is low calorie. And that's
Hmm.
where you start eating brownies that are low calorie, and it's supposed to be like, a healthy option, which is just, I think we have to kind of, while we're talking about this so heavily, where it's like, hey, if I'm trying to lose weight, I need to be below a certain level of calories.
Hmm.
Just because a brownie on like some company that makes it 100 calories does not mean it's a healthy choice, right? It's more about, like I said, keeping it natural, keeping it from something that was living, breathing, walking from a tree, from the ground that's grown yourself. Something along those lines is a very great place to start outside of like any sort of personal belief or whatever. If you don't like eat animal products, but I think outside of that, they're really like if you're sticking to that sort of mindset, you're gonna be eating healthy foods.
I got one of those notifications again about my internet. I'm gonna change it in a minute or in the next couple weeks, but it said it might have to reconnect, so I might cut out here. So
Okay,
I'm just gonna say
you're still
quickly.
talking.
Okay, I might say quickly. Healthy food. I don't like that term again for all the reasons that Brandon said it. Like, no one food is considered unhealthy. I will say if you find a low calorie sweet food that helps to curb your cravings, that could be good for you. But again, healthy food does not equal low calorie, and low calorie does not mean healthy. So just to cap that
I'll
off.
tell you what's not healthy.
Hmm.
Beyond meat.
Oof.
Let's move on to the next one. Anyways, you can
Beyond diarrhea.
you can out train a bad diet.
Yeah.
You can for a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
Hmm.
If you train hard enough for a while and are at the right age and movement level, I do think you can out train a bad diet for a really long time. Now, this is what happens for the most part with high level athletes, and you start seeing these guys who are very high level performers, who shredded six packs, that sort of thing. and then they're eating McDonald's 2, 3 times a week, right? And I've actually seen athletes
I have
who,
your example, dude. DK Metcalf. He
well,
has
yeah, I think
a
TK
full bag of
Metcalf,
Skittles and
Ocho
one meal a day.
Cinco,
Yeah,
yeah, yep.
that's it. Yeah.
Ocho Cinco, he talks how McDonald's helps him stay healthy. Like I
Which
don't know
is
if he's joking or
fucking
serious,
crazy.
but like there's dudes who like hurt themselves, and he's like, "Yo, message me. I'll get you a Big Mac. You'll be back in 2 weeks." And there has actually been some stuff I've seen in regards to junk food causing better performance in some athletes, and I it might just be because of the caloric density of some of
Yeah, they
that
might not
food.
be getting enough in
Um,
general.
but it was specifically in basketball players who were eating like that sort of food and had a higher vertical jump. Not again, not
Yeah.
saying it, just something I
Wouldn't
saw.
recommend it.
But I
Yeah.
do think for a while like it is possible to out train a bad diet, but it always catches up to you in time because one, having a bad diet or a processed diet or whatever you want to call it, whatever your version of a bad diet is, will catch up to you because you're probably not going to feel good. Your body's not going to recover at the highest level. It's going to be a little bit sluggish. You're eventually going to get hurt, and if you do get hurt, you're not going to recover as fast. And it's gonna be a domino effect when it does finally fall. That's going to hurt you in a lot of ways more than you could probably imagine.
Perfect. I got nothing to add.
Cool. And we'll go through just a couple more here. I think we can talk about a couple that I think are important to talk about, but perfect form looks the same on everyone. This is such a pet peeve of mine
Hmm.
in coaching and the fitness industry currently, and it's been this way for a while. But I think when we talk about form, we get so caught up on posture. To me, posture doesn't exist. I'm just being 100% honest with you, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We as humans move a certain way, but posture and the way that people speak of it does not exist, right? Because the way that I move in my daily life and the way that I express movement is not the same as the way that Jerry expresses daily movement, right?
Hmm.
And because of that, what he looks like doing a squat and what I look like doing a squat are not the same,
Hmm.
right? It might be leg
Actually,
length, it
quite
might be
different.
femur length, it might be torso length, it might be hip mode, whatever it might be. I
Hmm.
also might not even need to squat in what I do, right?
Hmm.
And I don't. Like I haven't really had a need to like barbell back squat in a while, and I just haven't really had an interest. I just haven't done it, right? I've done a lot of variations of squatting because I want to work on that pattern, but like a
Hmm.
barbell back squat is not something that I'm like necessarily fiending to do at any
Yeah.
point, right? So I think where I want to say this is like movement is the goal, and however somebody can express movement while staying safe is the end goal, right? So don't
Hmm.
get so caught up on neutral spine this and gotta hold this and blah 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 that and all and stopping someone from problem solving in their own body and being able to just complete a movement in the way that they see fit. Now,
Hmm.
yeah, obviously we're not trying to see like, cat rounding on a deadlift or, whatever it is, but as long as we're keeping the movement and completing the movement and staying safe, posture or perfect form is definitely not going to look the same on everybody.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. Deadlift specifically, like you have some people who are like built really long. They have the banana peel form where their upper back is rounded, but it stays locked in that position. That's a safe deadlift. So that's
Yeah,
like it doesn't. It's not going to be one across the board. Just like every program isn't the same for everyone across the board. So
exactly.
yeah.
And I think the last two I want to go through here are this one I think is a controversial one too. You should train every day to see results. Now, if you have the ability, the opportunity, and the capacity
Yeah.
to train every day, I think you should do it. I think you should move every single day in some capacity and allow your body to just express movement because it's a habit, right? And the more you can complete it, the further from like this idea of entropy you're going to be at. And if you're not familiar with the term of entropy, it's just a basically like breaking down, right?
Hmm.
And that's what we're all avoiding when we train every single day. It's our body breaking down on us, which so many have struggled with, and obviously I think so many will continue to struggle with in the later stages of life. But we're trying to stop that from happening as much as possible. And if you can train more in a sustainable way, do it. I,
Hmm.
for 6 months in a row, trained every single day. I was either lifting, running, training jujitsu, whatever it was, because I felt good. I had no problems coming up. I took care of myself. I was eating well, and that was it. Now I'm in a stage of my life where training 4 days a week is more than enough. And I'm gonna probably within the next 2 3 months, as it starts to get nicer, I'll be back into training 7 days a week. But it's nice to take a little break and know that, like, hey, I can still get good results training 4 days a week, 3 days a week, even, right?
Hmm.
Realistically, if you can train really hard or train really well 3 days per week with some walking on the other days, that's all you really need, right? So I would say a minimum of 2 days, 3 days to really start to see results. But if you have the capacity and the ability, and you have like the schedule, and you know are blessed to be able to move every single day, do it, and don't take it for granted.
Yeah, there's that saying, motion is lotion. Like, just movement is
Yeah,
just, and movement is medicine. All those phrases exist for a reason. Moving is what you're designed to do. And as soon as you slow down, your body does too. And so does everything else. And you might even feel it, like, in ways where when you stop working out, you can't fall asleep as well, or you can't use the bathroom as efficiently. All of those things movement ties into. So I think if you are staying within your MRV, your recoverable volume, and you can move without feeling like you're starting to break down, then continue to do it. Just make yourself feel good. Everyone's different, so find the level that works for you.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Last but not least, rest days, slow progress. I think this is just kind of goes hand in hand with that. I think a lot of people, what happens is, I think training every single day is like a beautiful thing if you can do it, right?
Yeah.
But people do it because they feel like if they stop, they're not going to get results, and they end up hurting themselves in the long run,
Hmm.
right? Taking a day every couple days to just chill or take a step back or just not go as intense is what leads you to building up and being able to take that next step in your fitness, right? I think, like I said, too often we get caught up in this idea that, like, you know, if I don't move, I'm missing out. But your body needs time to recover, and I think a lot of people forget that, like, a lot of the stuff, the results, the things you want the things you want to happen to your body happen when you're recovering, right?
Hmm.
Muscle recovery, your body, your brain, your breathing, all that stuff improves because we break down our body when we're training. We break down the nervous system, we break down the muscles, the bones, all that stuff. And you need time to heal and relax and come back. And this is why a lot of times if you ever taken a week off, or if you ever had an injury and you come back, the first time, and your strength really hasn't gone anywhere, right?
Hmm.
Because your body doesn't just like lose that stuff. You lose conditioning, you lose your ability to recover, right? But that is where we need to be. It's like, give yourself time to recover, let your body heal, and that's going to give you in the long run more for your training.
Yeah, I'll say with rest days, slow progress being false, with greater context can almost bring some more light to it. So I always say, like, if you're resting more than 2 days in a row, like if you get a third rest day, chances are mentally you're going to start slowing down. You're going to be like, I'm getting kind of comfortable. Maybe I'll go in Monday when it's a Friday and it's your third rest day. You're like, let me just take the weekend off. So you can easily get into this spiral of, like, a downward spiral where you're kind of just becoming comfortable, and mentally you're losing the motivation and drive. But besides that, like, physically, sometimes, like Brandon said, we've talked about this before on a podcast too, but sometimes you need the rest. But if you are feeling
Hmm.
good, like, there's no reason you should take more than 2 days in a row off for the most part, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point that I didn't even really think about. But these are scheduled rest days,
Yeah.
right? Like, these are like, hey, I'm training Monday. Like, for the most part, my week right now looks like Monday, Tuesday training. Wednesday
Hmm.
isn't really like a rest day, but it's a like just conditioning day. So I'll do like the stair stepper, or I'll walk, or I'll just be on the treadmill walking. Thursday I lift, Friday I lift, and then Saturday is usually again like another little cardio day, or I've been taking Saturday and Sunday off completely.
Hmm.
Now, if you know, and this is where it becomes important, if you know rest days tend to like domino effect and turn into like multiple, then just keep those days that you are moving light. Just move,
Yeah.
go for a walk, stretch, break a little bit of a sweat, hit the sauna, something like that. Whatever keeps you in motion is most important. But resting and not thinking like I have to do a full workout every single day is what's gonna in the long term get you there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
I think that's it. I mean,
That was
we
great.
touched on a lot of stuff there. probably broke down what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13,
I
14,
usually went through like
15, 16,
20-ish, I think.
17, 18, like 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 myths.
24. Nice.
Yeah.
One more myth. The BG
One
Perform
more myth? What's
podcast
that?
shouldn't be followed. False. Follow it,
Wow.
listen to it,
False.
subscribe to
False.
it, share it.
That was good. That was
Yeah.
really good.
Like that one?
I think I'm going to name this episode False.
False. Yeah, that's, you know what? I like it. Just
Yeah.
put false.
Well, let's make this ready? We got to make F's.
What is it? San Fran, they go like this. What is it? How do they do it? Like,
We got to
I'm
make it.
throwing up gang
We got to make a
signs.
thumbnail. Ready? You ready? Holy- One more time. Ready? 3, 2, 1. You got to go like that.
So fucking dumb.
I hope that makes it. That makes it as the thumbnail for this podcast. But
Be those
I
idiots.
appreciate you guys as always for tuning in. If there's any myths you feel like you disagree with or you just don't like our opinion, put it below. I'd love to hear it.
Yes.
If you do love our opinion and you haven't subscribed or followed us, please drop follow. Follow us on Instagram at bgperform_ or at Coach Jerry Hayes. Follow the podcast on YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on Apple and Spotify, as well as the website. You can check out everything on there at www.bgperform.com. If you want to train with myself or Jerry, whether it's in person in Colorado or here at ABC or online, all the information is on there at www.bgperform.com/training. Last but not least, we are officially launching the Coach Connect starting next week, Tuesday, February 3rd at 1 p.m. is going to be the inaugural call or the introductory call for any coaches who are interested in joining into the Coach Connect. So the link is going to be on my Instagram. I'm going to be posting that basically every single day this week. Sign up for that. Make sure you're ready to join in. We're going to dive into what the Coach Connect is, how you can join, what to expect, that sort of thing. But I'm super excited because I've been working on that for a long time. And I think that's it. So
Yeah.
anything for you, Jerry? Anything you need to announce?
I don't know if you said this because we just listed a bunch of stuff, but you can find Brandon training with him at ABC Performance, ABC
Yeah, I
Fitness.
did. Yeah.
Okay, you said
ABC
that.
Sports.
And then, yeah, I'll be at Coolest Sports
It makes
Performance.
ABC
So
Fitness.
ABC Fitness, whatever. ABC. Find Brandon. You know where Brandon is. You know where Brandon is.
Yeah. And then coolest sports performance in Colorado. Go see my boy Jerry. But I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and we will see you guys next time.